Of Fëanor and the Unchaining of Melkor, the dream returned me to Valinor in its bright years, before fear had learned how to speak aloud. The light of Valinor still lay fresh upon the land, and the two trees stood in their youth, pouring out silver and gold in slow, breathing pulses that seemed to think as well as shine. I felt their mingled radiance pass through me, and with it came the sense that this age, so clean, so newly ordered, already held the seeds of fire and fracture. I sensed, even before I understood why, that this chapter of the vision would not be about light alone, but about division, quiet at first, almost courteous, yet already sharp enough to draw blood. In those days, the House of Finwë stood at the heart of the Noldor, admired by all and fully understood by none. Finwë himself moved among his people with a king's dignity and a father's warmth, but the true weight of his legacy lay in his sons, whose spirits had been shaped by different griefs and different hopes. Among the Noldor, whose hearts were brightest and most perilously alive, there was one whose spirit burned hotter than all the rest. I saw him before I learned his name. He stood beneath Telperion's pale dew and Laurelin's warm glow, tall and dark-haired, his eyes bright, as if they had stolen sparks from the secret fire itself. His presence bent the air around him. Even in stillness, he felt like motion waiting to break free. As I watched him in the dream, I felt both awe and unease twist together like twin cords in my chest. This was Fëanor, son of Finwë. I saw him often beneath the trees, standing apart even when surrounded, as though he were already listening to a music no one else could hear. His brilliance was undeniable, and so was the cost of it. His mother, Míriel, had given too much of herself in his making, and was gone from the world, and Fëanor carried that loss like a private crown. She died shortly after giving birth to Fëanor, having put so much of her spirit and strength into him that she was consumed and lost the will to live. In his mind, all that he was had been paid for in advance, and the world owed him nothing, but he would take much from it all the same. Finwë took a second wife and had other children after Míriel's passing, but he loved Fëanor above all others, not because of favoritism alone, but because Fëanor carried something rare and frightening, a will that would not bend easily, even to the Valar. Next came Fingolfin, the tall and steady second son of Finwë. His mother Indis was of the Vanya, and Finwë's second wife. He did not blaze as Fëanor did, but there was a strength in him that endured rather than dazzled. Where Fëanor's words cut, Fingolfin's held weight. I felt in him a deep loyalty, to his father, to his people, even to his brother. And beneath that loyalty, a growing unease, as though he sensed that love alone would not be enough to hold the House of Finwë together. Last was Finarfin, gentlest of the three, whose spirit leaned toward harmony rather than mastery. Through his mother he had kinship with the Vanyar, and the light seemed to rest on him without resistance. He loved learning, but not possession, beauty, but not dominion. Often he stood between his brothers, not as a judge, but as a listener, and I felt that he understood more than he ever said. Through Indis, Fingolfin and Finarfin inherited a double heritage of both Njoldoran and Vanyarin blood. Finarfin uniquely inherited her golden hair, leading his descendants to be known as the Golden House of Finarfin. Fëanor's relationship with his father's wife and half-brothers was marked by a deep-seated tension. Fëanor did not truly see them. To him, Fingolfin was a follower born too late, and Finarfin a voice too willing to weigh caution against desire. Once in the dream, I heard him speak to Fingolfin with a smile that held no warmth. "You are strong," Fëanor said, "but strength that waits is always second." Fingolfin answered quietly, "And fire that never waits burns what it loves." The words lingered between them unresolved. Fëanor's resentment of Indis and her children stemmed partly from his fierce loyalty to Míriel's memory, and his belief that his father's remarriage was a slight against her. It was into this already fractured state that Melkor returned, released from bondage after long ages of feigned humility. Melkor walked free again among the Valar and Eldar, released from his long imprisonment after ages of seeming repentance. I sensed him before I saw him, an old discord re-entering the harmony, subtle enough at first to pass for depth. In the dream, his presence felt like a cold draft in a bright hall, subtle but unmistakable once noticed. He walked among the Valar with bowed head and measured speech, and among the Eldar with praise that tasted sweet and wrong at once. To the Valar he said, "I have learned humility." To the Eldar he said, "You are greater than they know." He watched Fëanor closely. To Fingolfin, he spoke of unity, praising his steadiness. To Finarfin, he spoke of peace, admiring his restraint. Then the rest. But to Fëanor, he spoke differently still. "You see more clearly. You see further than they do," Melkor said as they walked beneath Laurelin's golden light. "You were not made to be contained, nor to share the heights you alone can reach. Why should the Valar decide the measure of your gifts?" Fëanor listened. He did not yet agree, but the words found a place to rest. He learned swiftly, crafting words and signs with new shapes, drawing knowledge toward himself like iron to a lodestone. Under Aule's teaching, his hands grew restless with invention. Under Varda's light, his mind reached for beauty that had never yet been named. I heard him once speak to Mahtan, his father-in-law, while studying gems that caught and fractured the tree's light. "There is a fire in the world that does not belong only to the Valar," Fëanor said quietly. "It was set in us as well. Why should we not shape wonders of our own?" Mahtan studied him long before answering. "Fire warms and illumines," he said, "but it also consumes. Aule himself learned that lesson." Fëanor smiled, but it was not a gentle smile. "Then let the world remember that it was I who dared." And so it was that Fëanor turned his thought toward the light itself. Soon after, he began the labor that would define him and undo so many others. In secret and in fire, he shaped the Silmarils, pouring into them not only his skill, but his memory of the light and his own fierce spirit. When at last they were revealed, all Valinor fell silent. I felt the world draw breath. The Silmarils were 3 jewels, yet they were not merely gems. The light of Telperion and Laurelin lived within them, unmarred, undiminished, and preserved without dimming or decay. I felt joy and fear rise together like twin flames. Even the Valar were moved. Varda herself hallowed the jewels, and in that blessing something in Fëanor closed, as though the world had confirmed what he already believed, that these works were beyond recall, beyond claim, beyond even the needs of others. They burned cold and warm at once, alive with an inner purity that stung the eyes and the soul alike. No mortal hand could touch them without pain. No stain could cling to them. Even the Valar were silent when they beheld them. Varda alone spoke, her voice low with reverence. "This light shall not fade, while the world endures." And Fëanor, hearing this, felt his heart lift and close. From that moment, the Silmarils were no longer gifts to be shared in his mind. They were extensions of himself. To lose them would be to be unmade. Melkor saw this, and desire burned in him like a resurrected flame consuming what patience he had left. Soon whispers spread through Valinor like cracks beneath ice. Soft, poisonous, carefully placed. Melkor sowed them patiently, that the Valar feared the Noldor's growing power, that the light was hoarded, that freedom lay beyond Amun's shores, that Fingolfin sought to supplant his brother, that freedom lay not in Valinor, but beyond it. The brothers turned wary glances upon each other. Fëanor's words grew sharper, his pride more rigid, until at last he stood before his people with a blade drawn against kin and spoke rebellion aloud. The Valar answered swiftly to Melkor's sophistry and Fëanor's rebellion. Tulkas came like a storm, and Mandos pronounced judgment, and the sound of it rang like a bell of doom. Fëanor was exiled. Melkor fled, not eastward, but into the shadows of Valinor itself, where Ungoliant waited, a dark hunger shaped like a spider, devourer of light. And the darkening followed soon after, swift, terrible, final. In the dream, I felt the night fall unnaturally fast. Ungoliant drank the light of the wells. Melkor struck the two trees of light, and their sap flowed like silver and gold blood upon the ground. Telperion's last flower fell soundlessly. Lorelin gave one final fruit of fire, and then the light was gone. Valinor screamed, and in the dark, Melkor fled again, now truly Morgoth, the black foe, carrying with him the Silmarils he had stolen from Fëanor's exile home when he was away. Behind him, the greatest works of the Blessed Realm lay wounded beyond healing. The light was gone, and Finwë, who had attempted to protect the Silmarils, lay slain by Melkor. The last restraint within Fëanor broke. Grief did not soften him. It hardened him into resolve. He called the Noldor together beneath the cold stars, and Fingolfin and Finarfin stood there too, suddenly no longer background figures, but necessary witnesses to what was about to be done. Fëanor spoke of vengeance and freedom. Fingolfin felt the pull of kinship and doom alike. Finarfin felt the weight of warning press against his heart. The House of Finwë would finally split along the lines that had always been there. Fire against endurance, will against wisdom, pride against foresight. I felt the grief of the Valar like a pressure in the air, and beneath it all, the rising storm of Fëanor's wrath, terrible and unyielding, already shaping words that would bind many fates to ruin. Thus, the Unchaining of Melkor was not only the release of an ancient evil, but the moment when the greatest house of the Eldar began its long unraveling, and the music turned toward grief, carrying all of them, willing or not, into the deepening shadow of the world.
Shadows of chains on the air, eyes like a question burning there. Many ages counting sand on Tyrion's bright hill, lanterns over polished stone, yet his fire lay still. Children's voices name the stars, but one name stirs the sea. Child of restless flame, dreaming what might be.
Forgiven,
mercy granted, threads are thinning,
pity given,
doors are open,
pity given, doors are open, hidden embers slowly spinning.
Peace proclaimed in holy halls, but under every kindly word, a tremor in the walls.
Softly now the day grows thin, white towers blush and fade.
Footsteps part on shining roads.